If you have abnormal goals, then you can't exactly operate like a normal person. You have to operate as an abnormal person. And I know that sounds terrible, but let me explain. Say you're building a SaaS business and you actually want to be a successful SaaS company. Now, the odds are against you. 96% of SaaS businesses fail. And we've talked about these stats in this channel before. But the rewards are so huge for that 4% that actually succeed. Going after that abnormal goal, that outrageous goal, is totally worth it. The rewards are huge. But in order to get those rewards and in order to beat that trend, those statistics that are against you, you're gonna have to actually operate in an abnormal way. You can't do what everyone else is doing. You can't be a normal person. This is one of the things that I realized in my own journey as a SaaS founder. Being a founder means you're going after some outrageous goals where the stats are stacked against you. And so in order to operate, you need a different way of operating, don't you? And so I asked myself, well, how do I think about setting my goals? How do I think about running my own life? How do I plan out my life? How do I deal with the contrast on the goals I'm going after and the way I have to live versus my normal friends who aren't entrepreneurs, who aren't startup founders? And while it comes from a place of love, that contrast started to show in a very real way. And so I realized very quickly that in order for me to be successful as a CEO, as a founder, in order for me to be successful in going after these outrageous goals, I needed to figure out a different way to actually achieve these goals, a different way to actually operate, to define these goals, to create that vision, and to really go after it and commit to it. And I learned that goals in themselves weren't enough. I needed a system, much like you would for your own business. And so on today's Unstoppable Sunday episode, I'm gonna walk you through the exact system I use to go after my abnormal goals and actually make sure I crush them so I can get those outsized rewards. And when you follow this, you'll actually be able to avoid burnout. You'll be able to really get focused on the goals that you're going after, and you'll be able to establish an operating system on how you're gonna operate your own life so that you can be an effective founder, a leader, and actually accomplish those goals, even though the stats are stacked against you. Say that 2 times faster. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you grow your SaaS businesses faster with an unstoppable strategy. Now, if you are new to this channel, welcome. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon. That way you will get notified every single time I drop an episode. Usually, that's every Sunday with actionable strategies on how to grow your SaaS business. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon. That way you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode with the TK energy. And now, if you're already part of this channel, if you're part of this community, if you're part of my coaching programs, my people, welcome back. It's really awesome to see you over here. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you about the exact system that I use to plan out my life and run at really high performance so that I can go after these abnormal goals. I've recognized that you can't operate like a normal person. If you're a founder, if you're an entrepreneur, you have to operate in a way that's aligned to the crazy goals you're going after. But before I dig into the system, I wanna tell you a quick story, because you might be wondering, does this work? What do you get out of this? So I want to make it really clear on exactly how this has worked for me just in the last year. So meet TK. This is TK from a year ago. See, difference? Same person, maybe looks a little different, right? And so one of the things that I do as part of this system is after I go through the process and I've defined my goals and set up my habits, and we'll talk about that in a second, it all culminates in me writing and recording a letter to myself as TK from a year from now. So last year, I set my goals for this year, and I wrote a letter and I recorded myself reading that letter, but the letter is structured as if I have already accomplished my goals. And so all the things that I set goals around, I write a letter to myself to show hey, I accomplished this and I accomplished this, and this is my goal, and this is what it looks like, and this is what it feels like, and this is part of the process that I follow. And it may be a little weird, but again, I'm going after abnormal goals just like you, so you gotta do some weird stuff to make it all work. And this is battle test. I didn't come up with this. This just works really well, so I do it. And so watch TK, who recorded this letter, as me, say a year later. I know this is a little confusing. He talked about the weight goals that I had. Health has been a really important part of my life, especially this year, but especially over the last 3 years, and I've been on this journey. And so watch him talk about exactly how I set my health goals in this letter as part of this process that I'm gonna teach you. And then we're gonna talk about the success I've had in the past year because of this process. All right, so let's go and cue it up.
Through 2021, I've also effortlessly improved my health. I sit here at this very moment in the best shape of my life. I weigh 170 pounds. I have a six-pack. I feel great. I look great. And most importantly, I am healthy. I've worked through all of my health issues and solved them with the help of amazing health practitioners. And in 2021, I have learned what it feels like to both look great and be healthy, physically, mentally, and spiritually. Through my morning priming and meditation, my 3 times a week exercise routine that I thoroughly enjoy and look forward to, proper nutrition, healthy habits, and belief and discipline in myself, my design, and my abilities, I feel and I am unstoppable.
Okay, so you're probably wondering, like, did it happen? So first of all, I don't have a six-pack, but let me explain. I set this outrageous goal. I'm like, I'm gonna hit 170 pounds. And at that time, I was about 202 pounds. And 170 was such an abnormal goal, such an outrageous goal. I didn't even do the math on the fact that even if I lost the 30 plus pounds, I would still not have a six-pack based on the body fat percentages. But I was like, yeah, 170 is so far away. I'd probably have a six-pack by then. It'd be so ripped. It'd be so crazy. So let's do it. And let's figure out the systems and processes and motions that I need to do to achieve that goal and become that person that weighs 170 pounds and has a six-pack. So long story short, I actually lost over 30 pounds this year. Special shout out to John, my trainer, who has been with me through this whole journey and helped make this happen. It just goes to show how this process works so well. And this is just a snippet of it, right? It's not always perfect. Like, I don't have the six-pack, but I lost. I'm at 168 right now. 168.8 is what I clocked in at this morning. We'll see what we weigh in at on Friday. We do weigh-ins on Friday. But all the other things like came together. Like, I became that person that weighs that much. And interestingly enough, it's funny, I said that I work out 3 times a week. I actually work out 6 times a week and I love it. I said I have my morning rituals and my routines, and that's part of this process I'm gonna teach you on. I talked about, here's who the person is that weighs this much. So I'm gonna become that person and I'll get the goal. And that's super important. And so all these things came together. And the reason it comes together is because I go through this very defined process. I take the time to really define a strategy for my life and a goal for my life and a vision for my life. And I do it in a very specific way. Obviously, I had a whole bunch of other goals. I had goals around wealth. I had goals around giving. We give 10% of our gross revenues to charitable causes. We started with 2.5% and then we scaled it up to 10. And it's been incredible. And so I had those other goals, and it's been an incredible year, thankfully. A big part from this community we've built. But that one was so important to me because I truly am in the best shape. I don't even know the last time I weighed 168 pounds. And so I just wanted to show you that right in the beginning, just to show you that this works. This is not some crazy thing or some hokey thing. Like, I battle tested this over the last 10 years. And if you're going after outrageous goals, whether it's to weigh a certain amount and get a six-pack, and by the way, I'm continuing on my fitness journey. John teaches me all the time. He's my coach and trainer. He's like, you got to do slow, steady, and permanent. And so, this is a big shift. And, I lost 30 pounds this year, but I started my health journey a couple of years ago, and I'm down 50 in total from like the highest I've been. This is part of a journey of who I'm becoming. And so this system we continue to iterate on and continue to evolve. And so I continue on that path, even though it's been a great year, but it's still slow, steady, and permanent. This is a permanent change of who I'm becoming. I wanted to share that just to show you, like, look, this is not a crazy thing, and it really works. I follow it, and it means the world to me that I get to share it with you guys in this community, because I know it will really change your life. It changed my life if you do it. And so without further ado, let's dig into like exactly how this thing works, because I've battle tested this over the last 10 years. There's countless founders that actually follow this now, and they've seen success with it. And so I've codified it into like a framework that really works, just like I do with everything else, on whether it's building a strategy for your company or building a strategy for your life. And so I want to walk you through the 3 principles that you need to know to be able to adopt a framework like this. So if you're excited to dig in, go ahead and smash that like button. If you've had a health breakthrough, put it in the comments, but smash that like button definitely for the YouTube algorithm. And let's dig into principle number 1. Okay, so principle number 1 in this life framework, and the reason I have it as a pyramid is because you start at the top and everything builds on top of each other. And so you need to make sure like the combined efforts of these things is what actually makes this whole thing work. If you do just one of these, it won't work. And the biggest thing that I'll tell you that I learned in this journey in developing this framework is one of these special quotes that is really near and dear to my heart, what you get by achieving your goal is not as important as who you become. And Zig Ziglar said this, he's big on personal development. The reason this is important is because there's a difference between setting a goal or an outcome. Like let's just say we want to get to 1 million ARR or 100 million ARR, we want to IPO, versus creating the systems you follow to become that person. And a lot of times people get obsessed about a goal and whether you're hitting it or not. What they don't realize is, and this is why I love this quotation, it's not about whether you accomplish that goal, because guess what? When you hit 1 million, what are you gonna do? You're gonna like, well, we wanna get to 3 million. That goal will change all the time. What you really care about, what we're really doing here is we're trying to become these people that are capable of hitting those goals. The person I am, working out 6 times a week, at below 170 pounds, which was my goal for the year, and we've exceeded it, and going after a 6-pack by 40 is like who I wanted to become. And that's way more important. The habits around that, the rituals around that, that vision of that person is more important than the goal itself. The goal itself is just a yardstick, and I know there's gonna be goals after that, but what really matters is who you're becoming. And so principle number 1 is not so much about what the goals are and not getting so obsessed about them, but really about a 5-year vision of yourself. And this is so important because we as entrepreneurs, we as founders, we as CEOs are high achievers. What that means is we want to achieve a lot, and the way we do that, the way we feel complete, is that we set goals, we crush them, and by the time we're accomplishing those goals, we're resetting them. And a lot of times people fail or they burn out because it's a really tough road we're taking on, and that's okay, that's worth it, right? Because of the rewards, but we don't know why we're doing it. We don't know why this goal is important to us or who we're trying to become or what the longer play is. Sometimes we get really stuck on, oh my God, this, for example, the workout example. And I never felt like this because I did the work on why I want to do this. But you can imagine on like a tough workout, then you'd be like, why am I even doing this? Let me just stop. But I never felt that way because who I wanted to become by accomplishing this goal was so crystal clear in my mind. And the way you do that is you actually zoom out from the next 365 days, the next year, and you really talk about like, who do I want to become? What is the 5-year vision of me? And the reason I say 5 years is because it's just enough time where you're not really grounded to how am I going to do it? Is it realistic? But you're kind of dreaming a little bit of who you can become, but it's not so far out like 10 years from now where you're like, oh, anything is possible. I live in Mars, like, right? It's grounded enough in reality, but not so much that you're limited in dreaming about who you want to become. And so creating this 5-year vision, I found really, really tethers to, hey, here's who the person looks like. Here's my life. Here's what it looks like 5 years from now. And I'm going to do what it takes over the next 5 years to actually accomplish that. And this is why, my goal is like, I want to get a 6-pack by 40. And it's slow, steady, permanent, and we're going to follow the system. And there's going to be peaks and valleys, and we're going to keep working through it. But that's my vision. That's this person who actually has the discipline and the dedication and the physical capacity and all those things of like who like actually achieves that, right? And that's why it's so important to me. It means a lot to me, and that's part of my 5-year vision of someone that's like, hey, I have incredible physical and spiritual health, and that's part of my vision. And so it's so important for you to actually take a step back. And this is outside of your company. It's you on who you want to become 5 years from now. And that's principle number 1. And the reason this is so important is because when we're going after abnormal goals that are outrageous, are really hard, the statistics are stacked against us, the way you're gonna get past the hard moments, and there will be hard moments, like if you are not ready for that, then don't do it, right? The way you get past that is because you go back to like, well, is this worth it? Who am I trying to become? If I get past this, do I get closer? Yes, I want that, then let's keep going. And you find a way forward no matter what. So principle number 1 is creating a 5-year vision. Principle number 2 is if you create a 5-year vision, it can be really easy to say, oh, awesome, and then you just go back to your day-to-day. And what ends up happening is there's this disconnect of who you want to become and what you're doing in the short term to actually reach that medium term to long term. And so the second principle is once you have your 5-year vision, the second thing you want to do is actually build 365-day goals. And regardless of when you're watching this video, if it's like during the holiday period, it's an incredible time to actually develop this. If it's in the middle of the year, this is why I say 365-day goals. Like people get so obsessed with New Year's resolutions and New Year goals. 80% of New Year's resolutions fail by the time February rolls around. That's not what's important. What's important is you actually create the goals and create a system to go after it, and you know why you're going after it. And so I always say 365-day goals because you really want to always look at the next 365 days and make sure you have a view on exactly what you're looking to accomplish. And the idea behind this is your 365-day goals are tethered around who you want to become 5 years from now. And so this should be bringing you closer to your 5-year self. And that's how you want it. That's why I always say create the 5-year vision first on why are you doing all the things you're doing? Why are you starting a company? Why are you scaling a company? What does that mean for you? Why do you want to have a six-pack, like for example, or whatever outrageous goal that you have? And so you have that, then you define, cool, what are my goals that I'm going to do this year over the next 365 days that maybe doesn't get me fully there, but I can see how if I do this year, and then I build on that the following year, and I build on that the following year, then 5 years from now, I can be who I want to become. And remember, it's not about achieving the goals, it's about who you're becoming as you are going in the journey. So that's principle 1 and 2, and that's half of the system, right? The third principle, before we go into that, let me just pause here for a second. Are you starting to see the power in this? You're starting to see the power about, it's not just about goals. It's really about who we're becoming, the type of person that would be able to crush those goals and that journey, and actually making sure you're crystal clear about why you want that and how you're going to achieve that in the short term that ties together to the long term. You start to see the power in this? Can I just get a yes in the comments below? Also, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just means a lot when you do that to the YouTube algorithm, and my team and I, we really love it too. Also, if you are excited about this, put it in the comments, put a yes in the comments, share what your goals are, what's the big abnormal goal you're going after, and how you're not gonna live like a normal person because you're going after an abnormal goal. Maybe it's building a SaaS business, hopefully it is. So just put that in the comments below. Also, there's only so much I can do in an episode like this. If you wanna go a little bit deeper on, well, how do I actually create a 5-year vision? Like what questions do I answer? How do I craft my 365-day goals? I created an entire blueprint called a High Performance Founder Blueprint. And inside of that blueprint, I give you the templates, I give you some video training, and I give you the full workbook on exactly how to develop this unstoppable life framework and adopt it and execute on it. So I'll tell you more about it at the end of this video. I'll also link to it below. Don't leave yet. Let's go to principle number 3 so you really know what you're signing up for. So principle number 3 is once you have these vision and the goals, most people just stop here, right? They're just like, cool, I feel great. And this is like basically the equivalent of a super New Year's resolution, right? And the reason most New Year's resolutions fail or goals fail is because people set the goal, but they don't create the system to actually become the person that would accomplish that goal. So for example, for me, when I set that goal of 170 pounds and a six-pack, I still laugh about it because like I can't believe I didn't do the math on what a six-pack would be, and I'm all about math, but that's okay. You know, it worked out amazing. Like even at 168 pounds, I'm like so happy, and I'm so excited about continuing on this goal and adopting that mantra of slow, steady, permanent, right? But I knew that just setting that goal and doing that letter wasn't enough. I needed a system that would allow me to get there, and I put some of those things in there on, well, I want to be able to meditate. I want to work out 3 times a week. I want to have great nutrition. I want to solve all my health issues. And thankfully, all those health issues have been resolved as well. And so I knew that I needed a system. I also knew that, like, you know what? I don't want to figure this all out on my own. I want to get a coach. And I want to make sure that I get someone that really knows what they're doing, that aligns with my values, and that way I can accelerate my results. And that's why I started working with John. I knew that I needed a system, and that's what you need to think about, because if you just set these goals and you write the stuff down, even if you grab the High Performance Blueprint, and you don't do anything about the system that you're gonna operate under, the habits, the rituals, then nothing will work, right? It's just a wish list. And so the third principle is all about habits, rituals, and execution. And you need a system for it. And I usually break this down into 3 parts. The first part is, what are you gonna do monthly? What are you gonna do weekly? KLY. And what are you gonna do daily? And these vary, right? Like these can vary, and I recommend like you kind of figure out your own, and I give you a whole bunch of examples when you get the High Performance Blueprint, if you want to do that, or you can Google it, like whatever works for you. I'll give you some of my favorites. Every month, I want to make sure that, I started with monthly. Every month, I want to make sure that I do a pause and reflect. And this is something that I do monthly. And the way I do it is, you might have seen it in a prior video, the way I do it is I go to the same restaurant every month. I actually have a rotation of 2 now in Dallas, just depending on what I feel like. My nutrition has changed a lot this year. And I've actually worked with someone on the nutrition part also, which has been amazing. I have a coach for that. I go to the same restaurant every month. I go with my notebook and I essentially have dinner alone. And I know this is weird, but whatever, I don't care. Like, I'm not looking to be normal. I'm abnormal going after abnormal goals, and I'm okay with that. And so I'll get dinner once a month and I'll pause and reflect on the past month, what worked well, what didn't work well. And so I have a ritual around that. And I have a very specific set of questions that I ask you to actually do that effectively. I do that monthly to make sure that I have the right habits and rituals and execution to actually execute on my 365-day goals. And I pause and reflect on, like, hey, am I on track for my 365-day goals? Did I do the right things this month? Are there things that didn't serve me? Do I cut that off? So I have a whole system for that. On weekly, I also have a Sunday practice. And I have this habit as a ritual because I realize that on Sundays I get a little angsty. Like, if I had the weekend to myself, I get a little angsty. I'm like, oh my God, like Monday. And it's not because I hate my job. I love what I do, right? I'm my own boss, like a dream come true on all fronts, right? But the transition in the work week creates anxiety for a lot of founders and entrepreneurs and just normal people. And so I have a Sunday practice where I ask myself, like, where am I and what do I do next? And I actually pause and reflect on that, on the weekly stuff. And I set some intentions on, like, hey, cool, like, out of my 365-day goals, what are 3 things I want to work on this week that really brings me closer to my broader goals for this year? And so that Sunday practice helps me feel grounded, helps me express gratitude, and then helps me go into Monday with a plan for the week. And I'm like, here's what I'm going to do. And it also, most importantly, it helps me express gratitude on what has worked well, because so often we forget what happened in the past week because we're so obsessed about the next week. And so it shows, like, how far I've come. So that's my weekly thing. And then daily, we talked about this. I have a bunch of, in the audio, I mentioned this, like, I have a very specific ritual that I have every single day to make sure that I'm running at high performance, right? And so I actually meditate. I've been practicing transcendental meditation for nearly 11 years now. I can't believe it's been that long. It was introduced to me by Ray Dalio at Bridgewater when I worked there. He did this thing where he was like, hey, transcendental meditation is amazing. Everyone should learn it. I'll pay for half, you pay for half. And if you finish the course, I'll reimburse you. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And back then, transcendental meditation was way more expensive. Now it's a lot more affordable. And so I signed up for it, and I've been practicing it ever since. I meditate every morning. I do a priming exercise every morning. I do some things around subconscious reprogramming. I won't go into the details of it here, and this is also, like, weird, but abnormal goals requires you to be weird. You can't be a normal person. That's how you get to high performance. I also work out. At this point, I do it 6 times a week, which is incredible. And again, slow, steady, permanent. We just want to keep doing it. And so I have a set of things that I do daily, and I have work blocks set up on when I'm going to get my work done, so I can be proactive about my meetings for the week instead of just reacting to things. And so I have a set of these habits and rituals. And I also have this thing where I do these 45-day challenges sometimes. If I'm behind on something, a goal, and I'm like, I need to just kind of sprint ahead and focus on something, I'll do a 45-day challenge to move ahead on a 365-day goal. And so basically I have these tools in my arsenal that helps me, let me get another color here. Like, these are the tools that I have that helps me essentially run the habits, rituals, and the execution that drives to these 365-day goals. And the power in this framework is it makes it where it's not a bunch of hokey pokey things. It's not a bunch of, like, oh, maybe it'll come together, just, attract it in your life. And, like, it's not that. It's what it really is setting a clear intention, explaining why you want to do this, setting some goals on how you're going to get there, and then focusing on that execution. And that's the power of this system. And that's why I've used it over 10 years. I've battle tested it. I've iterated on it. I believe it in so much, and it's been so successful for me. I turned into a framework, and I actually give it to founders. And so if you're in my launch program, my go-to-market program, my scale program, you actually get the framework, like, as part of joining the Unstoppable coaching program. And so many founders have taken advantage of it because it's so valuable, because they realize, like, look, I've got a strategy for my business, but this requires me to be a person that is much more higher performance than who I am now. And so I want to level up there too. That way I'm a great leader for the company. And so that's why they love it. And so now you know what the broader framework is. And this will help you kind of flesh out, like to think about these three things. What's my 5-year vision? What's my 365-day goals? And what are the habits, rituals, and execution that I can do on a daily basis, a weekly basis, and a monthly basis to make sure I'm that person. Remember, ultimately what we're really trying to do is it's not about the goal, while that's a yardstick. It's really about who you need to become to accomplish that goal and to actually do those things. That was the big unlock for me. And I'm like, it's not about just writing down the goal. It's about how do I create the systems and the habits and the rituals to make sure I'm becoming that person that can achieve this goal. And that's what we're really trying to do. And the same applies when you're building a company, right? It's not just about, we want to get to $1 million ARR. It's like, well, who do we have as a team? What kind of product do we have? Who are we selling to actually be able to create $10 million of value so we actually get $1 million of revenue? Like it's the same shift, and it's so powerful. And now you know what the 3 core principles are that have served me so well over the last 10 years. Now, if you want to dig more into this, and if you want to dig more into like, hey, how do I craft my 5-year vision, my 365-day goals? How do I actually flesh out my habits, the rituals, the execution? Like you want to get access to all these tools I talked about and the templates, then you can grab a copy of my high performance blueprint. Just go to tkcater.com/peak, P-E-A-K, tkcater.com/PEAK. I'll link to it below as well. And inside of that blueprint, you will get my full framework. You will get all the templates I use. You will get a video course where I walk you through each of the parts. You'll also get my workbook where I go deeper into like, hey, here's how you really think about all these things. And it's relatively self-paced. Most founders create their first version of their plan in a Sunday afternoon, and then they can use the rest of the tools for the monthly, weekly, daily on a continual basis to get better and better. And when they have time and they really want to dig deeper and like, what does this all mean? And where do I go beyond 5 years? They have the workbook to dig deeper into it as well. And I've seen pre-founders use this, founders use this, scaling founders use this, CEOs use this. So regardless of stage, you need a strategy for your own life. And that's what we teach you inside of the blueprint. So just go to tkcater.com/PEAK, PEAK peak, and you can get access to it. Okay, so if you got value from this video, please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. This is what I'll be doing over the next 2 weeks. I'll actually be fleshing all these things out for myself. I use this system myself and I iterate on it every week and I execute on it. And also this overall framework, I make it better and better every year as I learn from others using it and what worked for them, didn't work for them. So I'm constantly iterating on it. So this is what I'll be doing. I literally use this stuff as you saw in the beginning of this video. And it works really well for me. It's worked well for others. So hopefully you get value from it also. So if you got value from this video, be sure to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. If you have some friends, fellow founders, entrepreneurs that will get value from this as they're thinking about how to run that high performance, if they're also going after abnormal goals, outrageous goals, and they can't be a normal person, they know that, they need to actually evolve to like, okay, if I'm gonna go after crazy goals, I need to be a person that can actually accomplish those things, then please share this video with them. It would just mean the world to us. Also, I drop an episode like this every Sunday with actionable strategies on how to grow your SaaS business as a founder, as a marketer, as a salesperson. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon if you haven't already. That way you'll get notified when I drop these episodes. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is gonna be unstoppable. I'm TK. I'll see you in the next episode or inside of the High Performance Founder Blueprint. Take care.